This year, the governor's State of the State address was more of a discussion about John Kasich's state of mind. Short on policy initiatives, long on human aspiration, Governor Kasich laid out his vision for Ohio and the nation. Kasich said we have to have more moral leadership. Government and society should look out for the poor and the mentally ill and the less fortunate and those addicted to drugs.
And there's so much more to do. You know, education, workforce, addiction, infant mortality, poverty. We just can't get it all. We can't get it all right. But I believe that because we have been faithful to practicing these values that I have talked about earlier, I believe the state of Ohio is stronger today than it's been in a generation. We are proud to be Ohioans. We are more hopeful. We are more united. And we have set a course for others to follow. Ohio is back. And Ohio is strong again, ladies and gentlemen.
Darrell, and you've watched a lot of these. How does this one compare?
Years from now, when people want to know what made John Kasich stand out, you know, they say daddy, granddaddy, whatever. It's like, I've got this speech for you from 2018. Just watch. You know, you're right. I've heard everyone, of course, of this governor, the past three governors, actually. This was the most unique, and I don't think there's even a close second here. Hey, John Kasich is 65. He's at the end of his term, pretty much. He's been on the national scene for the past 3 years. He's going to be an empty nester in just a few months. Both girls gone off out of state to college. I guess it's time to maybe sit back and say, gather around the campfire here. We'll show you a hurricane. And it's, you know, I guess we make light of it, but this is, I don't think anyone thought, not a person in that room thought he was faking it. This is John Kasich. This is the real guy. He has, you know, policy issues that come from someplace. And it's one of the reasons it's hard to pin him down as a hardcore Republican, or is he more independent? Is it stream of consciousness? Where's it coming from?
Yeah, Karen, none of what he said, we've heard it all before. In some
including
shape or
specific
form.
lines we've heard before.
But, I mean, a last State of the State address is never going to be heavy in policy because the person's a lame duck.
Well, and especially when you've got John Kasich, who is going up against a legislature that has not necessarily been embracing his ideas as of late. But I think what was interesting in this speech was it really seemed like it was a lot about John Kasich and not about the state of Ohio. And he talked a lot about, you know, the whole philosophy section, the whole section where you felt like it was a sermon, and his lines at the end about not seeing the finish line. It was so far away he couldn't see it. A lot of people would disagree that that's exactly the way that he sees it. But he talked a lot about himself and his ideas and how he came to these things that he felt he had accomplished. And of course, a lot of people are now looking at this as saying it was about him and his future, where he's going to go. He certainly set him up as somebody who is very different from, say, Donald Trump. I don't know that it was an accident that he spent a lot of time talking about moral things and talking about things in education that you would learn in higher learning, you know.
He would fit in Common Cause very well. I like this Kasich, I do. I like his philosophy. I like his approach. I also like his presentation is better. In the early days, he was really starchy. Now he's loose. He hits the table. He does it. He's just more.
It was 45 minutes instead of an hour and a half.
Right.
No, the first one was an hour and a half, right?
Yeah.
The second one was definitely, it was well over 80 minutes.
Yeah.
But when you start talking about going back and looking at his old speeches, I mean, he was a lot more confrontational. Think about that first one.
Yeah.
And I know Shannon Jones will remember the first one. Senate Bill 5 was on the horizon. There were protesters. It was loud. It was angry that whole day. I think that there was a totally different John Kasich who was speaking then than was speaking
I agree.
Why not, Shannon, have some policy elements, strong policy pushes in the speech? The gun control things that he had just announced the week before. It was mentioned, but it wasn't pushed.
Look, I mean, I think everybody is sort of asking themselves that question. I mean, nobody expects in the last State of the State that it's going to be super policy heavy. Everybody understands this is sort of the culmination of 8 years of work. But I think a lot of us were asking, you know, where's the there? And certainly that lends itself to the speculation that This is really about what's in the future. I'm not sure it's empty nesting that they really have in their future.
There is a there. He's positioning himself to run for a national office, and preferably as a Republican against Trump. I think you couldn't miss it. You didn't see the signs, or you didn't see the background thing. But I'm going to say I like him better than what he started 8 years ago.
Daryl, fact-checking it, the Dispatch had a piece before the State of the State, sort of laying out the objective look at how Ohio's economy is doing. We have fewer workers in the workforce. Unemployment's down, but fewer workers in the workforce than we had before the recession. Is it as rosy as he made it sound? It's never as rosy as the governor makes it sound.
Well, I was going to say that's pretty much a given, right? Well, and actually, Mike, there's new numbers out just hours before we're recording this that show the numbers for last year, which were being cited. You know, they were fairly modest, but were like only a third of what they were. 12,500 jobs gained in all of Ohio. Try this on for an amazing fact. The way I understand the numbers is the last 2 years of the Kasich administration, in other words, his 6th and 7th year in office, the job creation numbers are both worse than the last year of Ted Strickland's. Ted Strickland, of course, the whipping boy of the Republican Party for many years for all those job losses during the Great Recession nationwide. John Kasich's numbers are worse than when Ted Strickland left office.
And also on the fact-checking point, one of the few things he did talk about in terms of facts was the opioid crisis. And he talked about prescription painkillers, those prescriptions being down, and that is true. But he also mentioned that heroin is leveling off. That's not true. In fact, we're starting to see reports coming in of deadly overdoses going up by 30%. So, you know, when he starts talking about positioning himself for a longer haul kind of run somewhere, if he's talking about Ohio being back and stronger than ever, well, you have to check at some of these facts and make sure that that's actually what the truth is.